What's up, guys? You already know what's going on. My name is Andrew, and you're listening to Genuine Radio. I'm here today with three of my good sisters, Karen, Maureen, and Jessica. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about the African experience being African children living in the United States. So, you guys just introduce yourselves to the listeners.
All right. Hey guys. So my name is Maureen. Currently a college student and I am majoring in chemistry for the meantime. Um, some of my hobbies include playing the guitar and the piano. Occasionally I like to cook and yeah, music. I love music too, so that's one of my favorite things. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Wonderful.
All right, hey y'all. I'm Karen, and I am a senior in high school. A little bit about myself. So I braid hair. Uh, love anything that has to do with cosmetics, hair, makeup. The whole shebang. Love music. I play the bass and I sing, and yeah.
Jess.
Hey guys, I'm Jessica. I'm currently a senior as well. I plan on majoring in neuroscience when I get to college. Some of my hobbies are drawing, and I also love listening to music as well. Yeah, and that's
Wow.
it.
Well, thank you guys for coming on today. Just for the listeners at home, I grew up with these three amazing young ladies. I can't even give you an age because we've known each other like basically our whole lives. Um, but yeah, we're excited to talk to you guys today. And let's just get started. The question today, the first question is, what would you say has been your experience as an African um, person living in the United States? Um, and for the listeners, our parents have immigrated here from Ghana. So we have African parents. We do identify as African, Ghanaian. I'll start. I'll start. So I it's been a very interesting experience. I remember. So something that not a lot of people know is that when I was younger, like before I started school, I I grew up with an African accent. Like that's the way I talked. Um, but going into elementary school, I experienced some kids telling me, "Oh, why you talk like that?" So I'm like, I was sitting there confused. Like, is there another way to talk? Like, this is just how I talk. Um, and I guess it didn't really affect me. Like, I wasn't really bothered by it back then, and now I see that it was a problem. But I think naturally I started to assimilate and start to speak more like them, kind of. A lot of people tell me now that I have a mix of both an African and a American accent, which is kind of cool. Um, but yeah, that's just one of the things I experienced. Um, yeah, if anyone wants to share anything more, and then I can go later.
All right,
Um,
I'm next. Um, to be an African child in America, the one word I'll use is it was a struggle, especially being, young and not understanding that you know, it made you very, very different, especially when it came to customs, when it came to the way people would, talk. Um, for example, in school, when I would have my parents come for like, conferences, or have them come for, events where your parents are welcome to come into school. Parents would have my parents, all of our parents had accents. They probably
Hmm.
still do, but
Yeah.
they came with accents. The way they would talk would be seen as, aggressive, when it was like, the normal
That's
way
just
we
how they talk.
would. Hmm.
That's just how they talked.
Yeah, that's just how they talk. And people would point out those differences with, oh, that's how your parents talk. Oh, that's interesting. It went from things with food. Oh, that's how your food smells. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's how your clothes are. That's an interesting pattern. That's how your hair is. That's interesting. And because of that, it, at least for me, made me become very, very self-conscious of being African. But then, as the times have changed, it's something that has been embraced by our American society. So
Hmm.
it's just a struggle seeing how it's changed from like to ooh, that's cool, ooh, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I would say that it was sorry, it was confusing because like when I first went to elementary school, I don't know what those classes are. Like when they take out a few kids like special needs or something.
ESL, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ESL, yeah, that they put me in that class for like the first 2 weeks of school because I had an accent, and I was like, "Wait, what accent
Wow.
are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. Like, I thought I sounded like them, but like
Yeah.
growing up, I realized that I do." And but there was good and bad aspects of growing up as an African in the U.S. because I did have some friends when I was younger who wanted to try like some of the food like jollof rice. Like I would sneak some to school for them to try, and they actually liked it. So yeah, that's it was confusing. And yeah, because you grow up getting used to growing up with this culture. You have specific foods that you eat, and then you go out into the real world, and then people are like making fun of you for it. You're getting put in separate classes because you have an accent, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say I could relate a bit more to what Andrew said before because I also grew up in Ghana mainly. So when I got here, I had like, ooh, a tough accent. Please. The first thing that they did was to put me in like ESL classes. And I was like, I thought I was speaking normal because,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how people like speak. As long as you get what I'm saying, like, and so they put me in ESL classes. And it was all right. It just kind of made me feel different in a way because in those classes too, they had like kids from different backgrounds and origins and things like that. And then you had the classes that had, like regular classes with regular kids. So I would always feel like different,
Yeah.
you know. And there was something else I was gonna say, but I lost my train of thought. But come back to me. But brother Drew, I can relate with you. Was I supposed to say brother Drew?
Hey, listen, I'm your brother Drew. You could call
you can you can edit that out. But
no. You call me whatever.
but yeah, it
I'm
does make me
done.
feel different. And over time, I think that it's been better. Like you said, like yours, you said it's a mix of both. And that's the same way I feel. Because there are times when I'm speaking, I'm like, it jumps out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta conceal it. I gotta conceal it. But
Yeah.
then there are times where it's like, you know what? The only way I can get certain things out is if I just speak in
Hmm.
like the accent,
Hmm.
sadly, but it works in different ways. So that's just the way I can relate with what you said and a little bit of what Jessica said as well.
Hmm. I see something that never survived with me is like why should like having an accent be looked down upon?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this country, people look down on people with accents. They look down on people who don't speak English. There is national language. The United States has no national language.
Don't even speak English right.
Right.
Facts.
Like what?
Right. So it bothers me. It bothers me when people say, "Oh, you don't speak English, go back to your home country."
Hmm.
You know? Um
No, and it's crazy because if if there's someone with an accent that speaking English with an accent, that means they know another language
yes.
and they know English.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know one language halfway.
And you're making fun of others for that.
Hmm.
Right.
Exactly. Like
Like
that's
humble
so
yourself.
crazy.
It is. Mm-mm.
Oh, that's interesting.
It really is. All right. So we talked about accents. Let's switch gears a little bit
Mhm.
to the African household. We
Mm.
we grew up very differently than some of our peers.
Mhm.
Um, I guess I'll share some of my experiences first, and then we can go around. I never had a sleepover. I never had a birthday party. I never had friends over. I never like I could go on. There are so many things. I didn't get a phone till high school. There are so many things that I didn't get or I didn't experience that other people experienced. And growing up, I felt really bad. Like I was like, why can't like there were people running around with little flip phones at sixth grade. I'm like, man, why can't I get a phone? And I was pressuring my parents. I was like, come on, please. I'll clean the house. I'll do this. I'll do that. And to no avail. I didn't get a phone till high school. Um, and it's very growing up was very hard for me. Um, but now, like me being in college, I understand. Like I understand that our parents can't listen. Our parents are amazing people. They left their home, everything they knew, to move to a whole other country to have like to give a better life to for them and the future and for us. Um and growing up, all right, maybe I didn't really see that, but I'm glad I'm able to see that now. Um and be appreciative of that and of those differences that I grew up with. Um and yeah, some things were hard. Um a lot of things were hard. Um but I am like looking back, I am definitely grateful for all of it. Most of it. Yeah.
Um, Growing up in an African household was interesting, especially when you would go to school and compare things with your other peers. Because, like you said, the no sleepover thing, that rule I was extended to everyone except those from church, and I think it was only literally only Jessica. I think Jessica is literally the only person that has ever slept over, and even that came out of like necessity.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like if we had to go do something and we could kind of squeeze in there, like, hey, it would be easier if she slept over, if I slept over, you know what I mean?
yeah.
um Not being able to, I guess, have things when everyone was having them. Like you said, you got a phone when you were in high school, and that didn't happen to me or anything, but just things were definitely delayed
Yeah.
with being able to go hang out with friends, being able to do things by yourself, being able, there was a lot of delays and restrictions on things, but like you said, it really came in handy.
Yeah.
Now getting older and looking like back and being like, that's why, my parents didn't want me to have sleepovers with everyone I met. That's why my parents didn't want me to have a phone Um, One thing that I'm pretty sure every African child can relate to: discipline.
Mm.
We all know how discipline went, and it was interesting. And for all of us, all of our parents are Christians. We all grew up Christian, so discipline was not something that was reserved for Africans. No, it was something that, as a Christian, our parents had to do. But being African, that really just gave them a little bit of a
The
push
extra.
to go crazy with the discipline.
Yeah.
But then, we looking back now, it's like, wow, I did need to, you know, get a spanking when I did this, because I wouldn't I would not have grown up the way I did now. I did need to get this taken away. I did, things like that. Restrictions, discipline were definitely something that African parents went crazy with,
Yeah.
but it's appreciated now. And back then it was horrible, because you'll compare it to your other friends, and
Yeah.
they'll get grounded when
We'll be
something
like,
happens.
you're grounded, Tommy.
Um, when they ask to do something, there's no follow-up questions, or it's like a yes right off the bat. So back then it hurt when you were comparing it, you're listening to your friends and you're looking at your situation, but
Yeah.
now it's appreciated. It's
Hmm.
appreciated.
Yeah, looking back at like some of my non-African friends, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I actually listened to my parents. But for me, growing up as a African, like the oldest girl in the African household with
Mhm.
brothers, that is a different story. Like there is so many things that I couldn't do, but my brothers can do it. And I'm looking at them like I'm the oldest, so like why am I not getting the opportunity to do what they can do? Like I couldn't go to sleepovers, but then my parents will be taking them to sleepovers, and I'm looking like, wow, so this is what we're gonna do. But like looking back now, I'm like, I do kind of understand like why they didn't allow me to sleep over at some of my friends' house, because I'm a girl, and like I guess they didn't feel comfortable with me going like this world is filled with crazy people. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you think that you're close to that friend or this friend, like anything can happen. So I'm glad that my parents were strict on me. Could have been more fair with the way they treated me and my brothers, but
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah.
I think all of us here are the first child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Brian, do you have anything?
Um, I'm the middle child, so
Oh,
I
okay.
have, yeah, I have older siblings, and I have a little sister too. So when I look at the way my parents tolerate some of the nonsense, this like these people I'm in between, like the way
Yeah.
they tolerate the garbage, and I'm like, if I did that, and they were very strict
Yes.
on me because I was the first female child.
Mm.
So it was like it was definitely a little bit more strict, and everybody else just got like the lenient thing, and then I was like, mm
Yeah.
make it more fair. But definitely, I think it built me up a little bit more. It made me a bit stronger in a sense where I when I go out into the public, I know how to do my stuff. Like I'm
Yeah.
on top of my game. I'm not um looking to different people or different things for things that I've been trained at home to do. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's like
Yeah.
the foundation is already set in there for me. So when I go out there, I come out stronger, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
But definitely, yeah, it definitely impacted me really well.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
at
does make
first I
sense.
was like, yeah, no, but I'm looking back, I'm like, I'm kind of thankful. I really appreciate it, and I keep
Yeah.
it moving.
Yeah. Um, that is very interesting though. Now that you mentioned that, my sister got a phone in middle school.
My
She got
let me tell
a
y'all. Let me tell y'all. So in in sixth, seventh grade, everybody y'all know I was a wild child, right? So I did I did some wild child situations, and I got my phone taken away. I think it was like seventh grade or sixth grade, because I remember I was on the bus. And I didn't get that back until like freshman year.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
wow.
Wait, what did you
Oh my
do?
how
But
bad.
let me tell y'all, let me tell y'all, my sister got her phone taken away like for 2 weeks for worse than what I did.
Mm.
Please. She got it back like immediately. And I was like, hello, make it make sense, make it make sense. But I just wanted to point at that out because Drew was talking about it too.
Yeah.
All of
I
a
will
sudden,
flat
like
out.
the
I
discipline
will.
disappears when it comes to
Yeah.
is when it comes to the little children. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Like
Or
what happened?
males.
What
Yes.
happened?
Or males.
Oh
Males,
I don't
right?
yes.
Hey.
I don't have brothers. I'm sorry, Andy. Like
All right, you go. You got it. You got it.
I don't have brothers, but like I have seen literally from Jessica talking about certain situations or have just seen the difference in treatment.
Ridiculous.
Um, it'll either be your placement with being birthed, like if you're the first child, middle, last child, or if you're a female. If you are the first female and there is any other boy in that family and your parents are, traditional African parents, I'm sorry. It's gonna take the grace of God.
It really does.
I have seen parents who have stressed on like their girls knowing how to cook, how to clean, um, how to run a household,
Hmm.
but their boys can't cook rice. They
Yep.
they can't do the dishes.
Embarrassing.
No,
Are
honestly,
you not ashamed of yourself?
Are you not ashamed of your actions?
Yeah.
and I think all African parents owe a general apology to all their kids in Gen Z for that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That ideology needs
I
to
can
change
agree.
ASAP. It
Yep.
needs to change right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so going off that, right? What are some things when you all become parents? What are some things that you will change, and what are some things that you will keep?
I definitely want to make it more like I want to make it more balanced. So in a sense where if I do have like a female child or a boy child, or if I have both, I want to make sure they still have those qualities, but not in a sense where like the girl is doing most of the work and the guys don't know how to do anything. Cause
Yeah.
then it's like you're not being fair. You're not being fair. And that's something that like our parents grew up with. So I get why they do the
Mm,
things that they do, but definitely going forward as how I've been raised, I definitely want to do better when it comes to raising my children in terms of being more fair with each other and holding the standards high for both of
mhm.
them, not just like that one particular child.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing that I'm definitely gonna keep that I applaud our parents for doing is keeping the culture in a foreign land
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's really really difficult. And definitely there will be some type of assimilation, whether it be with the way you talk or with food or with the way you dress. There will be some type of assimilation. But I think for the most part, most African parents do a good job with trying to teach their kids the language. For
Mhm.
some of us, but you know, their kids at least understanding the language. You know, teaching their kids about their background, the culture that they come from, teaching their kids about the food, stories that were told, certain ideologies that they want them to hold dear.
Mhm.
Definitely am gonna try my absolute best to keep. But back to what Maureen said, keeping things balanced, yeah. Because things like cooking and proper hygiene is something every
Yeah, it's
functioning
basic.
human being should know how to do. Because how does it make sense that you don't know how to cook but you want to eat?
Right.
Like, you get what I mean? It's like if you're in a state where you can't go get fast food, or you have to work with what you have, and you can't work a fire, that's a problem regardless of your gender. There's no
Mhm.
reason why you should have to depend on someone being home for having clean clothes. No, there's a we don't go and scrub our clothes. No, we have machines.
Yeah.
Things are easy, so
Yeah.
people should be able to learn these basic things to survive as human beings. So definitely keeping that balance with teaching both gender of kids how to be functioning human beings and not reserving certain things for certain gender roles.
Mm.
So
Both gender and age, because that's something I also wanted to point
Mm.
out, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
age too, because like I get it. You're supposed to set the example as the older one, like as your parent. Your parents are supposed to set the example so that the little ones can follow along. But it's like nowadays the little ones aren't following along, so it looks like we might
Yeah.
have to just bring it back and
Yeah.
train up the
Mhm.
children in the same manner we train up the old people. So
Yep.
Hmm.
Yes,
applied to
that's
all
the
of us.
one.
Did all of our parents use that excuse that, do all the work with the older child and then kind
mhm.
of,
Just
okay, so the younger one
Yeah,
can
winging it
get
out.
done.
If I was the
Okay.
yeah.
last one,
Good.
like, no,
We run out of
no, you're not gonna
energy.
do that.
Keep that same energy. Keep that same
Right.
energy.
Like,
Like don't let it go now.
Right.
My
like
sister
I
gets
get
away
it.
with
Your
so
first
much.
one is the face, but some people don't follow.
Yeah.
Right. Jess, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would change the belief that a girl needs to learn how to cook, do the dishes, wash laundry because they need to prepare for their husband. I'm sorry,
Mm.
but both the son and the daughter are going to learn how to do all of those things for survival, not
Yeah.
because of getting married. Like that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, definitely what Karen said. The culture. We like. I don't know if people understand the importance of that. Like, imagine a kid, a Ghanaian kid from Ghanaian parents. Like, it would honestly break my heart for my child to say, oh, like where's Ghana? Like what? Like ask me questions that should be ingrained in them. Um,
Mhm.
I would want them to learn. Like I would try to teach them the language. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I'll try to teach them as much as I can. Um, I would definitely bring them to Ghana. Maybe a few times throughout their life because it is important. Like we to lose that, like it's a part. I feel like it's a part of my identity. And I think all you can relate to. It's a part of our identity. Um, and just to keep that within them is just so important. Something I would change. All right, maybe them being a little more, maybe being a little more lenient as to what we can and can't do. Um, like I said before, I feel like back then I missed out on a lot. And I'm not talking about like crazy stuff like like going out to 12 o'clock in midnight. I'm not talking about all that, but like little things. Having little get-togethers with friends. Um, like there was a lot that I wasn't able to do. Um, and that, like I said, that made me upset for a long time. So I think, you know, having when I have children, I would be a little more lenient, but I will also keep them in line, make sure they're growing up to be, you know, good human beings, God fearing human beings. Um, and yeah.
Make sure they grow up with that Psalm 23. The Lord is my
Period.
shepherd.
Yes. All right. So one of the things that was mentioned before is how African culture before it was seen as dirty, like negative. People were really bashing Africans. African was stereotyped as a poor place. But now over the past few years, we've seen sort of an appropriation of African culture, um, which is very different from appreciation. You can appreciate the culture without appropriating it. Um, so, what are some of the things that you guys have seen or noticed when it comes to that?
I think
Um,
the obvious one, braids. I I that one was interesting because I'm pretty sure we all got the comments of, is that your real hair? And then like, you'll give like a little explanation, and then you'll get like, oh, that's interesting. Or if you had like, if someone found like, a braid on the ground, they'd look at the person closest to them who had braid.
Yeah.
Is this yours? Mind you, your hair will be purple and the braid will be red. Like, so braids was definitely something that was looked down upon, but braids, cornrows, all that good stuff, wigs, literally, if you wore a wig, it's like, oh, you're bald headed. And
Yeah.
now, everyone and their mom has a wig. Braids and cornrows are being used as like, a cool aesthetic for fashion shows and pictures and whatnot. And it's like, oh, I mean, that's interesting. It wasn't like that, 2, 3 years ago, but I guess honestly it looks goofy. Like I remember everyone was mad about it. Now it just looks really goofy. If you're not a part of the culture, if you're not African, if you're not black, and you have like braids, cornrows, it's like, I mean, if you want to go bald, I
Do
guess.
you? Do you?
But yeah,
The funny thing is, these people don't listen and then go record themselves crying when their hair is falling out. Oh my god, my hair has
I
been in for a
actually,
couple of days.
mhm.
You
I
don't
actually saw
listen.
this. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I'm done. You can go.
I actually saw this video of this Caucasian lady that she got her hair done, and she said she was a cosmetologist. So she's trained in the field of doing hair and beauty and all that stuff. And so sis says she's been looking for somebody that is able to grip her cornrows right, like grip it and it will last long. Now, the only issue with that was that she is obviously Caucasian. So her hair is, thin and, it's not fit. It's not fit for what she's trying to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you guys are bringing up hair and stuff, like she was so disappointed. I was like, girl, like this is something that you should know that it's not, it's not going to work. But on the topic of hair, I just find so many people who are not black or African or whatever the case may be, they get so defensive when it comes to what and what not to do, like with their hair, what certain hairstyles that they should be doing and they
Yeah.
should not be doing. It's like to a point where like if they get braids and you say something about it, even when you're trying to help them, it's
Hmm.
like, oh well, anybody can do braids. Like braids were started in Ireland or something like that. Like anybody
it
can
might
do it.
be.
And the whole time we're just looking at you like, Miss Girl, like, do you want to lose your hair? So, yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to point out. Speaking about hair and stuff like that.
One quick thing I have about hair, um, is that I mean, this is not really appropriation, but like how natural hair is looked down upon. Um, I think during the last few months of the most recent Black Lives Matter movement, a statistic came out saying that black people who went to a job interview with their natural hair were less likely to get the job. And I think something also came out that was like, if you look up on Google professional hairstyles, you see white hair, like Caucasian hairstyles. Yet when you look up unprofessional hairstyles, you would see natural hair of black people, and of Africans and African Americans. Um, And that's all a part of the systemic racism that our country is plagued with. But like, I really don't like that. That just makes me upset. Like, hair is beautiful. Like, natural hair is beautiful. Like, I be seeing some pic. I think was it you, Maureen? Your most recent picture.
Was.
Yo,
Yes,
that
that
was
was her.
beautiful. I love that. I love that so much.
Thank you so much.
Um,
Yes,
you
sir.
got posted on one of those pages too.
Nah, period. I appreciate
um,
it.
but yeah, like I think the African and Black community has started to stand, like take a stand against. Like, no, this is our hair. Like, we can't. This is natural, you know. And we're gonna own it. We're not gonna listen to your standards, quote unquote. So yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed.
I think another thing I noticed was like growing up, like transitioning from natural to from sorry, relaxed to natural. My parents were like totally against it.
Mm,
So like in a way it kind of like touches on what you guys were talking about, like the African versus like, the Black African and then like the world itself. My mom legitimately called my hair a bird nest. And
jeez.
now it's like, Maureen, I love the hair so much. Like you could be a model. And I'm like, Miss Girl. Like I'm so happy that you're doing what's right now. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to point that out just to see like like how far we're getting with that the natural hair in terms of like the natural hair and stuff like that. Like it definitely wasn't as good as it is now, but I like where it's going. But I just wanted
Mhm.
to put that out there.
It was actually the opposite for me. My parents didn't want me to get my hair relaxed. So I was natural for all my life. But I like got my hair straightened like every other week because of society standards as to like how hair was. So yeah, I always wanted to get my hair straightened in order to look like some of my classmates. I
Yeah.
never wanted to like leave my hair out. And even now, like I'm still trying to like get more comfortable with my natural hair. So yeah.
Mhm.
I think for me, it was the same with Marine because my hair was permed before I went natural. And my mom's biggest concern was like, it's not gonna look kept, it's not gonna look, clean. You can't do like a slick back ponytail
Yeah.
anymore. And it's funny because this is coming from Africans themselves, but it really goes to show how even our African parents, like white people really got to them.
Yeah.
Like white people really got to them and
Yeah.
had them thinking that, straight hair is the only way you can look, clean, professional, nice, presentable to everyone else.
Yeah.
And, making that transition from permed hair to natural hair, your parents are at home, they're like, and then people outside are also like, I don't know, this
Yeah.
is not looking so great. That was just that was honestly so horrible because you're getting the hate, a little bit of hate from home, a little bit of hate from outside, and then you're also trying to like accept your natural self. And
Yeah.
like Maureen said, it's so like comforting to see where it's going now, where I'm not pressed if I'm not able to get my hair done for my senior pics. I'm not going to
Mhm.
be pressed if I can't get my hair done for like an event because I'm comfortable with my natural hair enough. And that is something that I couldn't even imagine myself doing like a
Yeah.
few years back.
Period. Period.
Yeah, and in addition to what Karen said, like how white people got to them, like they view guys wearing durags as ghetto, like getting a line in their head, like as them being associated with like a gang. I'm like, really, this
Yeah.
is part of our culture in a way. Like, I like to say that they're racist against their own kind in some kind of way. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah. For me, I remember seeing something on social media that was like, I think it was it was during the Black Lives Matter movement too, and the the guy, he was an African guy. He was bashing like African Americans, and he said something like, "Oh, you guys are like so dumb. This is why, when you get in a confrontation with police, why don't you just do this or that? This is why like you keep getting killed." To everyone else, we are black, and we are black. Like I mentioned before, if a cop pulls us over, they're not gonna ask us, "Oh, are you from Africa? Are you? Oh, you can go. Okay, you can go. All right, let me just talk to this guy." They're not gonna ask all that. We are all
Mhm.
like one, So I really don't understand why. I really don't understand um why the separation is there. Um, I think from my perspective, I had a little cross chain. I think some of you have seen me wearing it before, and my parents were like, "Don't don't wear that," um, because I think it goes back to the whole ghetto stereotype. How people be wearing chains and stuff. Um, and I'm like, it's all stereotypes. It's all stereotypes, and I don't think they realize that that it is what it is. Um, but like came to the conclusion, it has improved over the years. I feel like, um, and it is kind of sad that it's a problem because we are all going through the same things, but that's just one of the things we need to work on as a community, and over time we'll get there. One of the things I know we also want to talk about is food. African food. I love African food. I love it so much. Um, Ghanaian jollof rice is the best jollof rice. For everyone listening to this, if you want to try it, Ghanaian jollof rice. Don't listen to anyone saying anything
Better
that's
than
anything
Nigerian,
otherwise.
yes.
Mhm.
Way better than Nigerian.
Way better. I'm gonna have some people DMing me after they listen to this. um, but African food, I it is just so diverse, and there's so many things to try. So I do encourage anyone who's been thinking about it to try. But a recent thing that has been coming out on social media, I think last month or last 2 months, was the whole fufu thing. People were trying fufu, and some people didn't like it, which is all right. You don't like the food, you don't like the food. That's your opinion. But then they go and bash the food like, ew, what is this? People eat this? Ew. And this whole thing. And yeah, does anyone have any thoughts on that? I don't want to be rambling the whole time.
Um, I want to say, Drew, like what you said, there's a difference between liking something and respecting it despite of how you feel about it. Then you not liking it and then like bashing it like you said.
Yeah.
So like for instance, if I tried something that a particular food that I didn't like, I wouldn't necessarily be like, this is terrible. Like I can't like, why do people eat this? Like that's just blatant disrespect. But if I tried it and I didn't like it, all I could just say is I don't like the food, and it's really that simple. And I think people were getting caught up in trying trends,
Yeah.
and they made it to a point where it was just disrespectful, like just disrespectful.
Hmm.
I think it goes back to the whole ridiculous Africans against African American argument, fight. I don't even know what to call it at this point. Because it's like you said, we're all the same when you look at the outward. I
Yes.
when we look at us, you won't know if, I'm African, or if I'm African American, or if I'm Afro Latino, or if I'm black from any other part of the world. So
Mm-hmm.
with the food thing, it's I think people are doing it, like Maureen said, just following trends and not thinking about the fact that it's dividing the community of black people even more than it is
Yes.
already divided. Because within every family, within every community, there are going to be the things in it that aren't perfect, but we can use common sense to make sure we don't do more to hurt the community. So with the whole like fufu challenge, it was absolutely ridiculous. It was honestly uncalled for. There was no reason for it. And mind you, like, this is coming from someone, I don't like fufu. Like, honestly, it isn't my
Me
cup
neither.
of tea.
Me neither.
But I didn't get up on social media and say, "Oh my gosh, fufu is so nasty. How do my
Mm-hmm.
African parents eat fufu?" No. I went about my day and made jollof
You're right.
because rice is the superior food. Um, and
And
anyone else could have gone to go do the same thing. If you didn't like something, you didn't have to go let the world know, because if people didn't like foods from other cultures, nobody came on social media to do anything.
mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting that it had to be, an African dish that a lot of Africans love.
Yeah.
It was just kind of ridiculous. And coming from other black people, it's like you're not doing anything good for the community of black people, for the group of black people. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is, we grew up with food like fufu and all the other things. So obviously, when you try it, it's gonna taste different to you. But with people that are growing up with it, obviously they're gonna like how it tastes. But there's no reason for you to come and bash the food just because you don't like it. And with
Yeah.
the whole like African American versus African thing, it's very sad to see like how a lot of African Americans disregard their African heritage, like with
Yes.
the whole SARS thing. You see, there were a lot of Africans. We have people from Ghana supporting the Black Lives Movement, but then when it came to like problems like SARS in Nigeria, not that many people were speaking about it. Like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people were disregarding the fact that Africans are part of the Black Lives Movement. Like it's not two
Yeah.
separate things. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Um. Okay. I'm gonna touch on this because I know we gotta, tomorrow's Sunday. We got some rest, but I do want to touch on this because it's important. And going on to separation, um, within the Black community. This is not necessarily between like Africans and African Americans, but between Black men and Black women. Um, I know this is something we talked about. All the four of us have talked about a lot, and it upsets me to see how some of my fellow Black men have been treating Black women. I have Black women who I love. All of you here today, and my mother, my sister, my some of my friends, my family back in Africa, and it will hurt me to see any one of them being mistreated by a Black man. Um, and the whole thing about like, oh, I don't like dark skinned women, or I prefer someone with a lighter complexion. Like, this is a whole other conversation, but it has to stop. It has to stop. You are just, it's very, like, it just shows self hate. Like, how you hate, like, someone who's the same skin color as you, you show hate towards them. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it's something that really upsets me. So I just had to get that out there. Anyone want to touch on that, or
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. No, it really is. This is definitely like a hot topic if you're going to be speaking to Black people, or Black women specifically,
mm-hmm,
because as someone who has spoken to ex-colorists.
Mm,
Um, yeah,
wow.
as someone who has had conversations with people, to try and understand where that thought comes
Mentality.
from. Yeah, it's so sad, and it's interesting because I'm Black women will do anything for Black men, right? And I don't mean to say that we're we're giving up all and everything, but when things happen, Black women will be the first people to help. Black women will be the first people behind them, helping them. But then the same thing is not given in return in help and little basic things like respect.
Yeah.
And it's really, really tiring because growing up African is already, a hassle in some ways with,
Mm,
dealing with some stuff. But then growing up dark skin and being a girl, it's like, now you have to deal with men in your community that look like you, that come from the same culture as you, that don't want you.
yeah.
And obviously, don't go, there's no reason why you should desperately want someone that doesn't want you. But it's like, dang, is there something wrong with me? And being young and thinking about that, you look at yourself like, is there something wrong? And then hopefully realize when you get older that there isn't anything wrong. And all of that stuff stems from, being insecure about oneself. Because, like you said, the difference is gender.
Hmm.
If you and I are the same skin color, we both look the same. What is ugly about me? If I'm ugly based off of that, the only logical thing to think is that you feel like you're ugly because of that thing, and you're
Yeah.
just expressing that hate towards me because you don't want to deal with your own problems.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of colorists too. Yeah, and their reasoning as to why they wouldn't date a black girl is ridiculous. Like, for example, I don't date black girls because they're ghetto. Like, you've met all the black girls in the world, and you're telling me that every single one of them that you met is ghetto. Like, it's ridiculous. And I also believe that having a preference is ridiculous. But at the end of the day, people are still gonna have preferences. But like that doesn't mean you go and talk down upon a different race just because
Yeah.
you like a certain race or like somebody because of the hair texture that they have or like the color eyes they have. You don't go and go bash another person because of that.
Um, I've had someone tell me that the reason why they don't want to date a black girl or have anything with a black girl is because they want a female that is a lighter complexion. So when they have kids, their
Oh.
children don't come out. Their children don't, and mind you, they're as black as
The deepest village of
like
Africa.
their
That's
their,
what
their
they look
children
like.
don't their children don't come out as black as them because they believe two dark one dark skinned person and another dark skinned person makes a really black complexion, so therefore it disqualifies, it doesn't count. And I and it came from a close person too, and I was
Wow.
like, where are you getting that from? Because you literally look the way you look. And nobody's saying that anything is wrong with that, but it really just goes to show how insecure you really are. That's what it really boils down to.
Hmm.
Because there's no way you can look if you're able to look at your future child like that,
Hmm.
it just shows how you look at yourself.
Yeah.
Like Karen and Andrew and I think Jessica touched on it a bit. It just shows how you look at yourself. You don't appreciate yourself enough to appreciate the fruit that even might come out of you in the future.
Hmm. Yeah.
that's interesting because I don't know why you would want your child to look like what you would
Go
someone
after.
want to be with. Like
Yeah.
that's some
That's weird.
odd behavior. Like
Right. It's
you
like,
should not be having kids.
mm-hmm.
Like if
It's
she comes
like,
out late, what are you gonna do? She comes out late and
right.
then what?
Right.
And then what?
It's
People
like if you don't want your child to look like you, what makes you think that somebody else isn't obligated to think that they don't want you as a person, because you know you look like the way you do.
Yeah.
And what makes you
So
think if you date a lighter person that your child still won't be dark
right,
skinned?
black people come in different
Exactly, right.
shades.
Like,
Like,
come on
Like,
now.
do
come
people
on
not
Come
know
now.
on.
how genetics
Come
work?
on.
Like, you could, there are people who are like mixed, like, have one parent being black, one parent
Hmm.
being white, and they come out looking white, or they come out just
Right.
looking black.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What would you do if you're expecting
Right.
a light skinned baby, mocha colored with green blue eyes, 3B, um, hair texture,
Hmm.
and you get someone with Lupita skin color, which there's nothing wrong with. You get someone with 4C hair, rich skin, dark brown eyes. What will you do? I would be scared for that child because
Yeah.
you were
They're probably gonna be like,
expecting
I'm gonna get some milk.
Yeah, you don't deserve to
exactly.
have kids.
Yeah.
You really don't. Really don't.
So you're really uneducated and you're insecure. Good luck
Mhm.
in life.
And that child
Mm,
is gonna go through hell
Hmm.
having
yeah.
a parent like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, just imagine you were expecting your child to come out as your preference, and your child
Hmm.
didn't
Mhm.
come out as your preference. What are you gonna do?
Hmm.
Remember that video of that guy like bashing this other guy's daughter? Like they were outside arguing
Yeah.
and he was like talking down upon her, like how
Hmm.
he's gonna like buy her and she's gonna be like bound down to. I was like, oh
Yes, I
Bruh.
remember
no.
that. Yo,
She's like, I'm gonna be walking all over her. I
Oh
was like, oh
man.
no,
Hmm.
uh,
no, no. I was like, you're dark skin yourself. Like,
Hmm.
come
Right.
on now. Come on. Come on.
and
That's ridiculous.
with that, I think that I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but I've heard it from um black girls before that they've had like they've refrained from dating within their race because they're either scared of interactions like such where they meet a colorist who is weird and wants to make light skinned babies. Like, and this has come from like black girls who are your like typical light skins with the light eyes, the light hair, the light skin, or like black girls who are as dark as us,
Mhm.
and they've had to they're like, no, they've either had experiences dating in the community and they're like, I don't know what I should do because it's like, if I go for someone who looks like me, how I might not get treated well. So it's like, I'm gonna refrain from dating within my community and date outside my community. How does everyone else feel about that? Because I have a few thoughts about that.
I kind of agree and disagree with that, just because it's like I want to sort of protect myself, but then it's like part of me is like, just give it a try, give it a go. So when you say it, I'm like, I feel both ways about it. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the only
Cause
reason I'm asking is because I've talked to someone where, like, the way you feel, I feel the same. Where it's like, I want to protect myself, you know, not get into a situation where I have to deal with a colorist and whatnot. But then again, someone pointed out, is that not the same argument that, like, you know, some black men use for not dating black women? That, they'll have like one horrible experience with a black woman or something. They're like, no, I'm writing off the
Race the whole
whole
yeah group.
group of people. Like, do you get what I mean? Because it's
Hmm.
like, I'm not sitting over here like I exclusively, you know, only date outside of my race because of one bad experience with someone who looks like me.
Mhm.
I'm not doing that. But then again, it's like, you know, I'm not opposed to outreaching,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
opposed to that. And
Mhm.
definitely, not for the sole reason of colorist, because no, but definitely that's at the back of my mind.
Yep, yep. It's there, but it's like it's also not there.
Yeah, I
It's there,
think,
but you try not to look at it. That's the way we
Mm.
should approach it.
yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, for at least for me, it's like I'm not over here like I hate black men. I
Yeah.
think black men should all die and burn.
Mhm.
Like, like, do you get what I mean? Because on the
Yeah.
flip side, a black man, will have like a bad experience with a black woman, and they're like, all of you guys are
Generalize it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
all deserve nothing. And it's like,
Mhm.
wait, first of all, you got your heart broken in middle school.
Hmm.
Right.
Like, it's okay. There's no reason for all that hate. But I just wanted to put that out there because I've had this conversation before, and I wanted to get other perspectives because it didn't make sense, because they're not the same. Like, they sound the same, but
But
they're
they
not.
really aren't. They
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
aren't. Yeah,
Wow.
I've thought about dating outside my race too, but then I'm like, racism. Like, how did
Right.
like imagine me having a
Right.
white boyfriend, going to their house, and then their family doesn't like me because I'm black. I'm
Yeah, because
nah, nah. I
yeah,
don't. I
you know what's
couldn't.
racist? She's getting kicked. Like,
Bro.
I'm
in every community there really is some form of like anti-blackness.
Yes.
yeah.
And I have Asian friends that have explained the anti-blackness in their communities. I have Hispanic friends, white people,
Mm.
and then black people. So it's like, you really sit down and you scratch your head like,
Wow.
Mhm.
what will I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so I never really sat down and thought about that. Every
Like,
race
Mhm.
there
black
is
women
something.
really need to jump
Mhm.
over hurdles, do a backflip
You.
from the ocean to go and find a comfortable relationship, because you could really be going into a setting where, like, what if you find out someone's grandma's racist? Like, what are you gonna do?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's true. That is true. Wow.
Dang.
Back to that thing the question you said about black girls who wouldn't date in their own race in fear of colorism. I just think that's sad. Um, and it's I mean I think for me it's hard for me to really understand because I am a black man, and I am not colorist. I love black women, but
Yeah, we would have dropped you if you didn't.
Mhm.
Like,
I'll fix his chat.
you
like,
definitely would, definitely would have. But that's just sad that you guys have to deal with stuff, so much more stuff than I don't have to deal with, and it's sad, you know. And the only thing I can do is like just provide my support and just like help uplift you. Um, but like that shouldn't happen. Like if I'm like sometimes I think about my little sister, it breaks my heart to think about like if someone talks to her and says, "Oh, I don't like your complexion," or I don't want to date you because you're black or you're a dark skinned woman. Like it just really upsets me, um, and that's definitely something the black community here has to address and has to sit down with um, each other and iron out those issues because how can we if we're not united, how can we fight for like equality or for against injustices? How are we gonna fight against racism and colorism when we're saying all that stuff to our own people? That just doesn't make any sense. Um, yeah. All right. So I think this is our last question because it's almost midnight. um, all right, so let's go around. My last question is: how do you feel that your experiences, as you can say from the perspective of your experiences as an African child, your experiences as a black man or woman, um, how do you feel those experiences have shaped you, and how do you see those experiences affecting your future? I could go first. I all right, so I think I'm gonna do both. As an African child, like we discussed, our experiences were very different than our peers. I think now looking back, I am very thankful that I was able to see things that some things that our parents got right and other things that they could have worked on. You know, they're humans. You know, we all make mistakes. So in the future, I will definitely apply that to my kids. Definitely know that help them know that their culture is important. They are they're loved. They are valued. Um, and this is another thing we didn't really talk about it, but how African parents are so hard on grades. Um,
Yes.
like I would get a C once. I remember getting a C once in middle school. I never got a C after that again because my parents, we sat down and I had like no, not even 20, like a 30-minute lecture on on importance of grades and stuff like that. I'm not even gonna get into the lectures. Um, but yeah, I am proud to be Ghanaian. You know, I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my culture. Um, yeah. My experiences as a black man, I've unfortunately faced racism in the past, but I feel like those experiences have made me more aware of the problem in our society. I have been able to currently I've been able to start fighting about uh, against these injustices and these problems, and I feel like going forward I will continue to do so in a way that is effective and in a way that is passionate, um, and hopefully do my little part to help make the world a better place. That's at the end of the day. That's all I got. That's all I want to do. Period.
I would say, oh,
No, go first.
I would say growing up as African has taught me in terms of parenting the do's and don'ts when I do become a parent. Like for one, communication, because there are many times where we get yelled at, and then we're trying to like explain our side, and they're like, "No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it." I think communication is very important, especially for a healthy relationship. So like, you gotta sit down with your kid and like hear their side out, even if you don't want to show them that they may be right. Like at the end of the day, that's what's going to build the relationship. And as growing up as a black girl, I would say that it has made me like more cautious of like how people will view us, and it has caused me to like show more self-love towards myself. Like even in a world that looks down upon black women, I still had to encourage myself to like that I'm beautiful despite what others may say. Like I'm gonna make it even when people don't think I will. At the end of the day, it's just my skin that makes me stand out, but at the end of the day we're all humans, and there's nothing that's drastic that separates us. At the end of the day, we're all the same.
um, the thing I would take away from being an African child, being African, definitely pa- things with parenting, with keeping kids in line with setting rules, setting boundaries. They definitely did a great job with doing that, but then also having a balance of the
Yeah.
two, like Jessica said, with communicating with your kids, with creating a relationship more than just being parents, being friends
Hmm.
with your kids, trying to understand your kids, trying to, you know, empathize, sympathize with them with what they're going through, whether it be, with school, whether it be with mental health and whatnot. So, like, it was definitely great being an African child. Like, looking back now to, things that happened, but definitely, there can always be improvements with each generation
Hmm.
and how they went about, raising the next generation. With being a Black woman, the experience was interesting, very, very interesting. Not always, the best, but definitely would not want it any other way. With how things are going now, with accepting myself, with understanding that, I can do certain things that have been made known to me that I can't do solely because of my skin color, my gender. So, it's been difficult at times, but definitely would not trade it for anything, because now we all understand that, there is something really, really great and something really notable about being a Black woman. So, yeah.
I want to say my experience has encouraged me. Um, I see now that there are things like before I was having a hard time. I was just kind of going with what people were saying. I was kind of accepting what people believed about who I am as a Black woman. But now I look at it different in a sense where I know I am better than what people are saying about me. I know the things that like are restrictions to me are not necessarily a restriction only if I make them a restriction. So that's just in a way how I'm encouraged. When it comes to being an African child, I definitely liked the discipline aspect of things. I do think a little leniency would have been great, but we take it as it is. But I definitely appreciate discipline, and I appreciate the effort, because there are a lot of parents that just raise their children, and they don't want to correct their children when they go wrong, and they won't
Mm.
say it just because they want to be friends of their children. But I like the fact that our parents, our African parents, were able to bring us up in a way where we know right from wrong, and we can still, like, it wasn't always like, oh, like, we can always, like Jessica said, we need more communication. I agree with that part, but it's like, you're disciplined and you know what not to do and what to do in certain moments and instances.
Mm. That is beautiful. Um, we really had a great conversation today. I wonder how long this is. I really, this is gonna end and it's gonna come in like an hour and like 30 minutes. Um, but yo, I love this conversation. Um, we really need to have more of these. I mean, we'd be doing our little chats, but thank you guys for coming on today. I really appreciate you all so much. Anytime you want to hop on back to talk, you're welcome to. Um, this was very fun. Um, and yeah, thank you for the listeners at home for listening. And I'll talk to you guys next time.